Mocap ready, and action!
American film directors have long ruled the movie sets of Hollywood. Directors like Martin Scorsese blowing away audiences with Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver.
You talking to me?
The winner is Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis Ford Coppola brought us The Godfather.
And then they will fear you.
Steven Spielberg, too many classics to mention. Just absolutely killing it. Stanley Kubrick, the Prince of Twisted.
Here's Johnny.
Quentin Tarantino, how about Pulp Fiction?
What? Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you.
The Coen brothers, the kings of quirky.
I'm the dude, so that's what you call me, you know?
And many more American directors who've essentially owned Hollywood all of these years. Until Los Mexicanos took over the show. Simply put, film directors arriving here from Mexico are some of the biggest, most caliente, behind-the-lens talent in Hollywood today.
Alejandro G.
Directors like Alejandro González Iñárritu, with back-to-back wins for Birdman and The Revenant, becomes just the third filmmaker in Oscar history to win 2 consecutive Best Director Oscars.
I love you, and un saludo a todos mis compatriotas mexicanos. Thank you very much.
Alfonso Cuarón.
In 2014, Alfonso Cuarón won a Best Director Oscar for Gravity. In 2006, Guillermo del Toro's Pan's Labyrinth won 3 Oscars. These 3 superstars of the film industry known as the Three Amigos, directing the biggest movies and winning the biggest awards seemingly year after year for several years now. Though the brightest star of all out of Mexico, cinematographer Emmanuel Lubeski, aka Chivo, the GOAT, recently winning an unprecedented 3rd consecutive Academy Award for cinematography for The Revenant. Giving some lighthearted credit for his success to his college film school teachers back in Mexico.
My teachers, not all of them, but some of them, and thank you.
And more young Lubeskis may be arriving in Hollywood soon enough. Film students from Lubeski's alma mater. Mexico's prestigious Centro Universitario de Estudios Cinematográficos. That's part of Mexico's public national autonomous university. It was back in 1963 when the film school was founded in the heart of Mexico City and recently moved to this new state-of-the-art film campus of editing rooms and screening halls and classrooms inside a set of modern concrete structures that are built on and around an ancient bed of volcanic lava rock. The prehistoric meeting modern times, where many a student meanders along in quest of a genius idea for their next film. Or perhaps to gossip about the love life of the campus Leonardo DiCaprio lookalike, 24-year-old PATRICIO SOLORZANO, who says he just wants to direct.
Yeah, I want to be a film director.
You could be an actor with your looks.
No. I don't like being here, actually. It makes me nervous.
PATRICIO and his classmates often film their movies on campus. Presently, they're producing a short behind-the-scenes film about a film festival here. Silvana Lazaro is a young director of photography, hoping to follow in the footsteps of the great Emmanuel Lubeski.
She's our Lubeski.
So is it true what they say about you?
Oh, I hope so.
All of the students here, says PATRICIO, are quite inspired by the recent success of their fellow Mexicans in Hollywood.
I'm very proud. I'm very happy to be a young filmmaking student and be living in this era where Mexicans were well known and respect for our work, right?
Though while Mexico's Three Amigos and the GOAT make making it in Hollywood look easy, in reality, here in Mexico, students say making it to that level of success seems like climbing Everest. Just finding a job alone here in Mexico once they graduate, they say, is often impossible enough. Because the historically low-budget films made in Mexico have long ceased to appeal to Mexican audiences. Film audiences averaging 200 million moviegoers a year that today prefer to go to Mexican theaters to see big-budget American blockbuster films out of Hollywood. There are very few investors in Mexico City who are interested in bankrolling Mexican film projects here at home. because films here don't return millions of dollars in profits like in Hollywood.
Here in Mexico, a movie will never give you your money back. Never. I mean, that's the thing.
Though not all hope is lost, having no budget can actually be a blessing, says the head of the film school, Maria del Carmen de Lara RANGEL, a filmmaker herself, whose award-winning documentary about Mexico's horrific earthquake in 1985 and her award-winning first feature film, a satire of Mexican politics entitled The Country Where Nothing Happens, were both produced on shoestring budgets, she says, compared to films made in Hollywood. They may not have made millions, she may not have made a living making films, but they got made.
The important matter is what you want to say, not how many money do you have.
Indeed, some students here say they are less interested in making Hollywood blockbusters and more interested in making lower budget films about social issues here in Mexico. For example, student Laura Rodriguez Miranda recently directed a short fiction film based on real-life news footage of one of the most controversial chapters in Mexico's history, when on the eve of the 1968 Olympic Games, Mexican government forces fired on and killed hundreds of university students who had been protesting poor economic and living conditions in Mexico. The film Laura, directed with her classmates, has student actors reliving the last terrifying moments that students in 1968 encountered before Mexican authorities began attacking and killing them.
Ábrame, soy yo, Rubén.
¿Qué onda, güey? ¿Qué pasa?
El ejército está por tomar la universidad. Tenemos que irnos, están por llegar.
Pinche gobierno de mierda. ¿Qué hacemos con las cosas?
Long after the world may have forgotten this terrible event in Mexico's history, Mexicans have not, says Laura.
And I think it's very important to show the world the way we see our country and our reality.
As for her directing style, Laura says she prefers the power of images over dialogue.
Close-ups and images that show how the character is feeling without him saying it, like the hand, the feet, or maybe an object, or only the eyes. I like to transmit the whole idea, but only showing fragments of images.
And who influenced Laura's style and her work? Not one of the three amigos, she says, but the late French documentary filmmaker Chris Marker.
I love Chris Marker.
Particularly Marker's award-winning film, Le Jetée, his masterful 1962 low-budget science fiction film about a post-nuclear war experiment in time travel and a love story, told almost entirely over black and white stock still photos.
You know?
As well, Patricio's favorite director is not one of his famous countrymen. Rather, he says he enjoys the films of American director Stanley Kubrick.
Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick. It's not just a film.
As for Patricio's directing style,
I love long frames, like established shots, like, I don't know, long shots. I think like naturalism is really attractive because, I don't know, when I go to the movies, I see Hollywood films that are all the opposite what I do. I mean, it's a world that doesn't exist, and I think filmmaking and movies, it's a good tool to bring reality alive. I love a young Mexican director that was once a student here, and his name is Fernando Emke, and he's great.
Fernando Emke has not enjoyed the massive success of The Three Amigos, but his simple, low-budget films are winning at film festivals. For example, his film Lake Tahoe, about a young boy coming of age. Or his short film La Bienvenida, that follows the struggles of an impoverished tuba player who lives in a remote village far away from town and rehearsal, who's also a young father with responsibilities, but who never loses the passion or his love for playing the tuba.
I like those movies that are too simple and in the end brings you like peace. And you don't need like the big movie and explosions and I don't know. I think like less is more, you know?
Less is often all there is in terms of support and funding for Mexico's future film directors. They say all they can hope to do is find success outside Mexico one day.
If you want to make it big, it's a shame you have to leave. It's a shame. Because, I mean, I think like, I don't know, if we do an analogy here, like with, for example, soccer.
Oh, brilliant skill from Lionel Messi.
We are like the Argentina guys now.
Oh, it's glorious!
We create good players, good filmmakers, but they are all leaving. So we're like a good country that can export their talent.
A bittersweet export credited for putting Mexico in a positive light for a change.
We're not only drugs and war and people killing each other and people wanting to cross the border, we also have a lot of riches.
A lot of riches, like the cinematic gold Hollywood has struck with the Three Amigos and the great Emmanuel Lubeski. And perhaps a few more gold pieces to come from film school down in Mexico.